What up, y'all? It's Golden Spaces, an Odyssey original podcast. It's your girl, Nat and Justin. We are here. And Justin, let me take a temperature check with you because I don't know what our temperatures are individually, but I know Dub's Twitter, Dub's Nation on Dub's Twitter. Woo! It's been a lot. It's been a lot since they lost the other night. By the way, last 2-minute report comes out, says that they didn't inbound the ball in enough time on that last play to Chet, so went longer than it should have. So shouldn't even been their ball. But you know what? That's why you don't let things get into the hands of referees, right?
Yeah. Human error is possible.
And now, if that was the other way around and the Warriors had won the game, we'd be hearing all about it.
Mm-hmm. That's how it works.
Crickets right now. So, Justin, how are you feeling about our beloved Dubs?
Annoyed, but I mean, it's been the same thing all season. Like, you're just waiting for guys to play better. You know, nothing's going to happen with the team anytime soon. So you can only just hope that guys play better. But, 10 and 12, you can argue they've blown 4 opportunities at wins against very good teams. So imagine if they're 14 and 8 instead. But yeah, I mean, people are saying, oh, the Warriors are bad. No, they're not bad. They're just towing this line between mediocre. They're just mediocre, and they're towing the line between being good and bad consistently. They'll have stretches of games where they look dominant, and they'll have stretches of games where they just look like a complete disaster. And ultimately, it averages out to them just being super mid, and they're losing close games to, good teams, right? So that's not going to do much for you in terms of winning a championship. That's why everybody is frustrated and wants changes. But ultimately, they are just as close to being a good team as they are to being a legitimately bad team. So just annoyed with them.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, for me right now, life is lifing. So I don't really have the ability to let the Warriors impact me greatly because, I think the Warriors can still be good, like you said. But I don't know. I don't know if they're going to turn it around.
Right.
And if they don't, Steph still needs to get some more rings. So that goal, cannot go away. But this iteration of the Warriors probably will. And by this iteration, I mean the core. I don't mean like their surrounding pieces. I think if you have another year where they don't really do much, I don't see how you can just go again and be like, oh, we're just gonna, I don't see it. And I'd be really curious what's going to happen with Kerr because technically they just didn't re-up him. So it wouldn't be a firing per se. It would just be a decision not to continue with him.
Right. I mean, it's right now it's trending towards me saying like the same thing, right? Like either a member of the core, which is like the 3, particularly Clay because he hasn't been extended, or Steve Kerr, or both. There could be changes with those guys going forward. If I had to guess, it would be Kerr gone before Clay is gone, I would think. But
yeah, but I think if Clay stays, it's not in the same role and capacity. I just don't.
Oh, sure.
I don't. So if he's.
Yeah, my thing with Clay is like, I don't even think they want him in any super high role now anyway. There's just a void left on this team from Jordan gone, right? Like Chris Paul is supposed to be a guy that fills some level of that role, but he's just not a 23-year-old like prime Chris Paul. So there's only so many things that he can do.
Right.
They just need somebody to take pressure off of Steph, particularly in the half court off the dribble, right? Klay is just going to be Klay regardless, catch and shoot guy. Like, he's not going to be a guy that's going out there taking 20 plus shots a game like he was. Well, he wasn't even never taking 20 shots a game, but he's not going to, they're not asking him to be prime Klay anymore. They're just like, yo, just take the shots that you get. You're going to play less than 30 minutes a game, most likely, some nights more than 30, but for the most part, you know, you're just a spot up guy, catch and shoot guy. And they just need another guy. They, you know, like we watched the Thunder game. It's Shea coming at you. It's Jalen Williams doing stuff off the dribble. It's Chet doing stuff off the dribble. They need another dude that can just make something out of nothing against a good player, right? And they just got Steph doing that right now.
So unless they trade this year, right? I mean, I think regardless, I feel like even if they win a championship, I just think I just think the team is going to look different next year. Yeah. And I mean, and the thing about it is, I think that was always going to be the case. Like, that's why they got the Chris Paul contract. Like, this is potentially someone who could help, but this is also going to help us free up space the way we need to make some moves. Mm-hmm. And why I believe they were never going to extend with Klay before the summer, regardless.
Mm-hmm. At least not a number that was going to jeopardize their ability to be flexible financially. Right. And I'm sure at least either not a number or not a number of years or both, right? It was going to be something that was going to be extremely team friendly. And I'm sure Klay was just like, okay, like I'll take it if I have to, but right now I'll just bet on me proving that I'm worth more. We'll see if they ultimately think that, but yeah, we already knew when they got Chris Paul. Okay, 1 year rental, most likely, unless they get unless they win a championship and he's a big part of it this year. I can't see them just being like, okay, thanks, and then trading him off. That's the only circumstance that I would think he'll be on this team beyond the summer. So, it's looking like that process is being sped up. But that was always, like you said, that was always a thought process. We need optionality. That was like the term of the summer, optionality. And they got it. So they're going to probably use it.
Yeah. So the team will definitely look different next year. It's just a matter of what they do this season. And they're getting to a critical point where the change has to start coming. Mm-hmm. Or... You know, Steph was visibly frustrated, you know, but like, I don't know what that means. You know, it's like, you know, like to me, I don't think anything has changed in terms of their margin for error being razor thin. And right now they're just leaning into the errors, you know. Mm-hmm. We always knew that they didn't have that other, you know, person who could create something. So that was something we knew going into the season. But a couple of things not really anticipated was like Wiggins, you know, playing the way that he has. We also expected that Kerr was actually really going to utilize the young guys more. Mm-hmm. And he hasn't, even though they've actually been really good, you know. And even in the last game, you know, it's very rare that I disagree with Marcus Thompson, but he tweeted something that I didn't fully agree with. He said it's a squandered W, but a better showing. Rotation was good. See, I don't agree with that. I don't think the rotations were good. But I guess if you overlook the 29 turnovers, it was a better showing. I mean, the defense was better, right? You know,
I think quarter.
Huh?
It was better in the first quarter.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I'm saying I don't think the rotations was good. He said rotation was good, pace good, energy good, didn't look overwhelmed. Last road games they blew. W's led because they got hot from three, cooled off, and were lost. This one, they felt like aggressors. 29 turnovers, 28 personal fouls, and almost won. OKC's just tough. And he says, but fundamental problems remain. They have zero deterrence in paint. Fouls are partly from defending ISO so much with no rim protection, often too reliant on motion versus overplaying defenses, need consistent secondary playmaker. Limited athleticism, which places premium on decision. So a lot of it I agree with, but some of it I don't. And but the part really for me with the rotations, because it actually bugs me. Okay, so Chris Paul is out. So automatically for Steve Kerr, apparently that means Kojo has to play, which I don't understand or agree with. Like, just fucking put pods out there, like at the one. Like, why are we playing pods and Kojo together? So that's first of all. But secondly, why is it okay? All my starters go out now. My entire bench like, why does he do that?
He's never done that before until this year.
I understand.
He's never done that before, and it's crazy.
Like, why am I seeing all bench lineups versus Shea? I understand.
Yeah.
Especially when, like, Wiggs offensively may have not had it going, but he was defending Shea well.
It's okay, but
he was defending him well.
But yeah, I agree on the all bench lineups. I don't know why he's doing that this season. It doesn't make a lot of sense. He
literally took Andrew Wiggins out the game, and he had just like, I'm not saying that you're locking Shea down, but like it was 2 or 3 shots in a row. He defended him straight up on, and Shea missed.
Mm-hmm.
And then he took him out, and then Shea scored on like the next several possessions.
I mean, they also just need to get more creative with the way they defend certain teams. Like,
I'm sorry, I did interrupt you. So what were you saying before, and then get into the creative with the defense?
Oh, and I was just saying he never used to do the all bench lineup stuff. Like, it was always the starters, and then it was Steph plus a bunch of bench guys, and then it was Draymond and Clay running the second unit. That was before KD came, and then they started staggering and stuff like that when KD was there. But even last year, I mean, the championship year, it was kind of the same formula. Now it's just like all bench, and the starters are struggling. So how about you try to integrate a few of the starters in with the bench guys to get some energy next to those guys and play them a little bit better?
Athleticism.
Yeah, like that just doesn't make any sense. And then, like you said, Kojo should not be the automatic in the rotation just because Chris Paul is not playing.
Right, like you're waiting till the end of the game, and then so you bench Andrew and you go with Kuminga. So if you're willing to do it to close, why don't you fucking utilize it before that point in time? Mm-hmm. And not just with Kuminga, but with Moody and other guys.
Yeah. Moody gets 16 minutes. I mean, you kind of called it. I thought he was going to be permanently 20 plus minutes a game guy going forward. He's at 16 minutes, and he didn't play his best, but you got to trust guys like that. But, I mean, I personally feel like if Chris Paul is not playing, I mean, I think Trey should be playing anyway. But if Chris Paul is not playing, Trey should definitely be playing.
Yeah.
Just move pods to the backup one. And now you have more athleticism, especially against a team like this.
I just think Trey's, even if Chris Paul's there, I think Trey should be playing because the team. So that's why today I thought was interesting because Chris Paul was practicing pick and roll with Trey's. And I'm like, well, one, is Trace going to play? And 2, Chris Paul, are you going to actually run it with him on the floor and realize that Dario is not the only person out there?
Mm-hmm. I just think they force it to Dario way too much. He's a good player, but they're pushing it a little bit too far to where some of his flaws start to show up a little bit more. It's like, bro, he's not Jokic. Stop trying to throw it down to him in a post every time a smaller player is on him. Like, they're swarming him. He doesn't have the talent pretty much to consistently punish these guys while they're swarming him. So, like, take some pressure off of him. Don't just force it down because you're also just having guys just sit there and watch him and they're out of rhythm and all this type of stuff. Like, it's just, I don't.
Why do they think he's that kind of big? He's not.
He's not. He can be that, like, in little plays here and there, but it should not be a focal point. You should not be running your offense through Dario post-ups, like Dario pick and roll post-ups. Like, just use him as a spacer, and he can do a little bit of stuff off the dribble too, so you don't have to keep putting him in the post. Like, it just doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
And it's not working. So you keep doing it, but it's not working. So that's what I also don't understand. Like, what are you seeing as evidence to say, let's
Right.
keep doing this?
Right. I don't know. I mean, he didn't have a bad game. He had 11 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists. But you got to ask yourself, like, what's going to help us more long term? Like Dario doing this, or like Kuminga being featured a little bit more so he can grow into like the dynamic athlete rim threat that he already is and get even better at what he does well. Or how about Moses Moody, or how about Trace Jackson Davis, who just has more upside as that athletic big than anyone else on the roster has, right? Like, so, and then we keep playing these young athletic teams and we're just not playing our young athletic players. It just doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
I mean, it makes perfect sense to me because he's an ass coach, but y'all just won't get there with me. He's not an X's and O's guy. He's a manager of people, apparently, supposedly.
Hey.
I mean, listen,
She had 38.
It's honestly just ridiculous because I personally feel like this year, especially if it doesn't improve, plus last year, and then that 1 year where Clay was out but Steph was available. To me, I felt like that's 3 years they squandered of Steph's prime. I really do.
Mm-hmm. You said which years? This year, last year, in 2021?
Yeah, that 1 year where Clay was out.
Yeah.
Because that season, there was no real team.
No, that was a season they definitely could have went for it and potentially did something definitely more than what they did. I think that was more Joe Lacob than Steve, but yeah.
For y'all to only select James Wiseman. And again, I'm not one of those people who go back and be like, oh, because, like he was a consensus top 3 pick at the time. But you did all of that to get James Wiseman, right? Like it didn't pay off. If you would have gotten Halliburton, I know everyone's in love with LaMelo, but I've never been a LaMelo person. For me, it was always Halliburton. And you could have traded down. Because I understand he wasn't going to be, a number 2 pick. What were they that year? 2 or 3? 2, right?
They were 2.
Yeah. So fine. Halliburton wasn't a number 2 pick. Trade down because y'all liked him.
Mm-hmm.
Trade down, get him, and you would have also gotten some other stuff out of it.
Yeah. I was calling for a trade down that whole summer.
And so it's just like you wasted that year. And then you got other picks during this time and you're wasting them now. You're wasting them now. I cannot comprehend it.
It just begs the question, like, do they think about this type of stuff? Like the way we're having this conversation now, do they have those same conversations? Like, damn, we really fucking this up. Like,
and then Bob Myers up there joking, laughing on TV. That would annoy me if I was Lacob.
Who, Bob?
Yeah, he's like, I can't explain it. It's ridiculous. It was 2 nights in a row. So the first time he just started laughing. The second time he's like, there's no explanation. But like, if I don't know, if I'm Lacob, I'd be like, I would like that. Although you're part of the reason why this went down. I'm just saying, I wouldn't. Oh, you up here clowning us on TV on your new gig?
Yeah, Bob is a funny guy. Like Bob is revered within the fan base, obviously. He was there throughout the whole dynasty and stuff, but Bob is a funny dude. Like, I mean, like a lot of the decisions that he has made the last few years has led to this situation here.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think the question is if people are going to say, like, did he really have the control, right? Or if it was the owner or whatever.
Either way, it's his sword that he got to fall on, right? Like, since the KD acquisition, what have we really done? You know, like we got Wiggins. That was the big deal that Bob made that put them back in position for contention in 2022. But other than that, it's not looking good.
No, because, and I mean, part of that too, you got some good picks, but y'all won't do nothing with them. So
right.
It's like,
yeah.
So
we're looking to Mike to put us back on the right path.
I mean, quite frankly, I think a lot of what has been done has been a little overrated because I think most of it's just about Steph, right? And Laker acquired Steph. Like that was done before them, right? So yes, fine. You got Kerr. He brought in the new system. But since that, like the draft picks, a lot of people are like, well, Loon is one of the few. Let's not go through the many.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. I get like when you're picking that late in the draft, you know, but we've seen other teams who pick players within the range of the Warriors who have like worked out, right? So you have to question them. You have had this conversation with me about the Lakers and how they draft well, right? Like it's the Warriors, you're doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, other than Loon, who is on the team still that they've drafted within like the last, I don't know how many years.
Right.
All of them are either gone or it's just Loon, Moody, Kuminga, and now they just obviously just drafted Paz and Trace. That's it.
And gone is like, okay, they're gone and like out the league, most of them.
Yeah,
it's not like gone and play somewhere else thriving.
Yeah. Like, I mean, other than Jordan, who's on the Wizards, they just traded, obviously. James Wiseman is very close to being like potentially out the league.
And there are many, I mean, there are people who argue that like y'all sort of like screwed up Jordan too. You know, it's like, I think Jordan developed in spite of them, not because of them.
Right. Yeah, he locked himself in a gym for all that time and got better and forced Kerr's hand to, to integrate him and change what was going on. He turned himself into that level of player. And obviously the G League coach as well played a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't any type of development plan that Steve put them on or anything like that. Like it was just, I'm going to get better, and the guys in the G League, helped him get better, and that was what happened there. But other than that, they just have been they've been dropping the ball on extending this run.
Right, and if Pods ends up being good and Trace ends up being good, that's not credited to Myers. That's Dunleavy.
Yeah.
That's why you remember in the summer when we spoke, and I was just like, I gotta say, I don't mind that Bob Myers.
Yeah, at first I was like, Bob, nah.
That's what I said because Dunleavy, the reason why, like, I knew how everybody felt about him, and I wasn't that high on him, but I said Dunleavy don't got no attachment to any of these dudes, and I think that might be the best thing possible.
Mm-hmm.
I do, because he's just doing what he thinks is best.
For sure.
And he might get it wrong, but I know he's not going off of sentiment. I don't like, he does not care. He will trade all. Steph, the only one who he won't trade.
Yeah, and I mean, even beyond that, like, I think just the newness of it and the failure of the last few years, other than the 2022 championship, just kind of has, I think it has the ownership group more so hands off than ever before. It's not like I said, he was texting Bob all the time. Like, I think they had that close relationship where it was just like, okay, I'll just kind of do whatever this guy says. Whereas with Mike is like, I'm doing my job. And look what y'all have done, right? Let me do my job. And I think Joe was like, yeah, we kind of messed up doing too much over the last few years. So we're going to let Mike do his thing. So even beyond the personal connection to Dre and Clay and the other guys beyond Steph, I think he's just in a better position to make good basketball decisions without the pressure of the ownership group down his neck trying to make every decision for him.
I hope. I don't know if that's true, but I hope so.
Right. And I mean, it seems like it. Like he said 1 second, hey, we want Jordan here. And then the next second he was gone. So he seems a lot more cutthroat. Yeah, he seems a lot more cutthroat than what Bob was. Which is, I mean, it remains to be seen whether it's a good or bad thing, but it's different. And you know that he's going to be making basketball decisions, based on logic and not really sentiment, like you said.
Well, one thing I don't think is that I don't see Steph being okay just letting another year go by.
Mm-hmm.
And being like, okay, we'll try it again next year. So I feel like if things really start to go downhill, like there will be some pushes to try to do something at the trade deadline.
Yeah, you should.
I mean, I don't know because he just goes with so much, but I just can't see him being okay with letting another year go by. Not with the way that they approach this season and we're all meeting up and we're doing this and we're doing that.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, dang, he may be like, we saw in some of his recent post-game interviews and stuff like that. Like, he's like, they're all like, we believe in this team and we believe in the people we got. So if you ask yourself, like, dang, like, if they keep losing, are they just still going to be beating the same drum? Like, nah, we're going to figure it out. Like, we've already put in so much time and effort into this specific roster that I don't want any more trades. Like, I don't want to bring anybody new in. So it's like, what are we going to get from Steph? Is he going to be like, we're losing, we need to switch this up? Or is he going to be like, we've already put in so much time with this specific roster? Do we need to just stay the course?
I also don't know how much of that is true on its face. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
Like, Steph is going to say what he's going to say on the record, And I'm not saying he's like a deceitful person or anything like that, but he's not going to be like, I mean, he's just not that guy, right? Yeah. So they're going to say, we believe in this team and all those kinds of things. But like, you guys did say all those things last year too. I just believe we'll turn it around and we'll get it together. You said that a lot, Clay. And, the thing that's so weird is, like, to me, Andrew Wiggins don't really have no ego. So, I mean, I don't know if you end up trading him or not, but I don't really think it's a big deal to move him. He's not gonna like fight y'all if you're like, we need you to do something. I don't know that it makes sense to bring him off the bench because like it's the defense, but I'm just saying, like, to me, he's not really the issue. So that's why I still don't, the minutes thing to me is weird because it's like, you can lessen Andrew Wiggins' minutes. So whose minutes is it that you're so concerned with not lessening? Clay's? You guys have sent Loon to the bench so many times. So it's not a Loon thing, right? So who is it? Like, why is it so hard for you?
Who, Steve?
Yeah, because I mean, the only person it can be is Clay. Because it's not Andrew.
As far as
when I say the only person it could be is Clay, what I mean by that is not that like, oh, like Clay just shouldn't play or anything like that. I'm just saying, when he was saying it's so hard to find minutes and, all this stuff, I'm like, but why? Like, I watched you bench Andrew already at the end of games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all have sent Looney to the bench. So there's places for you to find minutes from. So why is it so hard? That's what I'm really saying. What is it so hard for you, Kerr?
He has the guys that he wants to play a ton. Like, I mean, he has Kevon Looney, who, I mean, I'm gonna just be real. Like, Kevon Looney, the way he's been playing up to this point, he didn't have a terrible game last game, but the way he's been playing up to that point, he probably shouldn't have been completely out of the rotation. I'm just be honest, right? He was slowing them down on both ends.
Right. And we've said that, but that's my point. It's like, why is it so hard now all of a sudden for you to bench Looney when you guys have done it so many times before in the past? Like, you can look out there and see he's not playing well. So give someone else the fucking minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes beyond ego when it comes to that type of stuff. It's also like players' confidence in themselves and how they feel the coach has confidence in them, right? Like, if he just completely benched Looney completely.
I get all that, but like, we're at a certain point in the season.
Yeah, but you don't want to lose a guy, right? So I understand.
So how long? What do you do? How long? How long do you go?
That's the question. It's like, okay.
You don't want to lose a guy, but you need to start winning.
For sure. This is the dilemma that coaches.
These are the things I just don't feel like other teams carry on with for so long. Ty Lue, he'd be like, all right, homie.
Yeah. But
I just don't understand. It's always a thing with this team. You don't want to do this. You want to. Every other fucking team does it. Like, you got to start winning at some point in time.
yeah.
You have to start winning at some point in time.
That's true.
So I just don't understand. Like, yes, you don't want to lose a guy, but like, hello, guy, you need to play better. Maybe benching will make you play better. You keep getting patience and you're not playing well. So get fucking benched and then maybe you will. And I don't even mean it like Looney shouldn't. And
I mean, I think he's leaning towards that now.
Right, but it to me, they always wait for too long. This is why they were in a play-in position all those years ago where they ended up. It's always you wait till too long to do the fucking thing you need to do. Last year it was, oh, we don't need to chase wins. We gonna still rest players, even though we're like, why do you think you can do this?
That was always idiotic, but
so that's what I'm saying. It's just like you gotta do it while Stephen Curry is healthy on the court and can play. We don't know what the team is gonna look like in a month. Mm-hmm. You don't know what may happen. So when you have him available to play, put the right fucking players in the game and play them.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
I am so over the minutes and we can't find this and we can't. It's not that fucking hard.
Yeah, but at the same time, this team is full of players who play great one game and then not good the next game.
I haven't seen Loon play no great games.
Oh, yeah. Loon played 16 minutes last game, like I said.
And he also serves, to me, a different function than some of those people who have a game where they play well, like where they're just a little bit more needed than him. Mm-hmm. So it's like, sorry, Loon.
Yeah. I mean, if it was up to me, there would be some games where he didn't play at all. The Thunder aren't a matchup for him, so I wouldn't play him at all against the Thunder. I'm just be honest. He's a big that plays against the Bruisers, right? I would play him against Denver. I would play him against the Kings. I would play him against Philly. You know, if they got a big center that's down there trying to post up and stuff, I'll play him against them. But against these teams where everybody's a three-point threat and everybody makes you guard in space and they can dribble, he's not playing against them. That's just me. But again, he didn't have a bad game, but still, like, that's where minutes can come from. There.
Exactly.
Dario, 23 minutes. It's a lot of minutes. He was a +4 in his minutes, but I mean, should that have been +10? You know, if he's a little bit more mobile, like, I don't know.
He also, for the most part, played with the bench squad. Mm-hmm. It's like, what if you switch him up? What if you switch him up? Yeah.
Like, how about no Cory Joseph and put Trace there? So now you're big. Trace and Dario and Kuminga. That's pretty big, pretty athletic with Trace and Kuminga. Pods, Moody. I mean, you know, Pods and Clay. You know, if you want to put a starter in the second unit or something like that. I don't know. I just feel like he's just not allocating the minutes the way he needs to.
No. That's what I'm saying. The rotations are still off. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, and why are you so hell-bent on, there's just been this debate, right, about the turnovers and why they're happening. And we know this team has always been turnover prone. And some of the passes are lazy, but that's not all that it is. It's not all that it is. And I just do not understand how people don't see that the system itself lends itself to some of these turnovers. Yeah. I'm not saying it's all. And when people say, like, you know, this is what they've always run, because someone tried to tell me, like, we just don't have, like, the ball handlers and necessarily, and I'm just like, but when have we? Like, we've never had a multitude. Like, yeah, you had Sean, you had Andre, like, over the years, but I said, I just think that teams have, like, figured out the offense a little bit more. It's not really so much that we have, like, all these great, better ball handlers. The
league is different. It's younger. It's more athletic. It's more mobile. right? The beginning of the dynasty, teams were still playing two bigs, or at least one lumbering big. So the Warriors could do the motion offense stuff and pretty much still get a good shot every single time because it was one person on the court for the other team that was always too slow. Now they playing lineups out there. The Thunder starting lineup is Holmgren, Jalen Williams, Shea, Giddey, and Dort. Giddey's the slowest person out there for them, and he's closing out the Wiggins and just staying in front of him. Like, he's still 6'7", 6'8", 21, 22 years old, can kind of move his feet depending on who he's guarding. Then they're bringing Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Cason Wallace off the bench. These are guard, 6'7", 6'6", 6'4", mobile, fast, athletic players. So the motion stuff is going to get blown up because these dudes are too young, athletic, and quick. They're just
jumping in passing lanes.
Yeah, they're jumping everything. So you need to be able to just say, okay, forget the motion stuff. I'm going to just score on you. Like, I'm going to go by you. Or I'm just going to run a pick and roll and get something out of that. The motion stuff against these young teams, that's why every time we saw early in the dynasty when they played the Thunder, they had all that length and athleticism. They was blowing the Warriors stuff up. The Cavs was blowing the Warriors stuff up early. We already saw the signs. Now every team in the league is built like that, where every team has like a bunch of 6'7", 6'5", 6'6", where everybody's athletic, everybody's long. And we've seen your stuff for the last decade, so we know what you're running, right? Split action. Then we just top lock it, like with a super athlete. And now everybody else on the Warriors is slower too. So everybody else is faster and we're slower and we're running the same stuff. You're going to get turnovers. Like, yeah, that's in my opinion. I mean, obviously they brought Chris Paul in for that reason because he's not going to turn it over, but he's also not going to just go out there and make a play either. He's not going to go out there, take the ball and say, okay, y'all blitz and stuff. You can't guard me, whoever's checking me. I'm just going to score on you. He's not that type of guy. Jordan was, but Jordan was also a turnover machine. They need somebody that could be both, like who's not going to turn the ball over and is just going to generate offense when they blitz Steph.
And that's only in the second unit anyway. So the turnovers are happening with the main guys. Yeah. It's happening in the first unit. So Chris Paul can't help for the entire fucking game, even if that was the plan.
Yeah. And these guys are having to carry such a heavy load with the first unit, Steph and Dre in particular, that they're just making they're making mental mistakes late in the game as well. I'm sure they're gassed out there. Like, it was one play, I think Dre got the rebound and he thought Steph was ready for the outlet to go up. And then Steph turned around for a little bit, ball goes straight out of bounds. And they both look at each other and kind of high five, like, yeah, that was both our fault. Stuff like that's happening. Like, even the game against the Clippers, Draymond thinks Clay's going back door, but Clay cuts back to the ball. Dre throws it straight out of bounds. It's like mental mistakes like that only happen when you're really, really tired at the end of the game. And it's not an excuse, but at the end of the day, you can make their lives much easier than it's been for them. Like, and yeah, they just got to find a way to do that. I think simplifying it is one of those ways. And playing your athletes is another one of those ways. You don't have to run 1,000,001 cuts when you got a guy you can just lob it over everybody. So.
And every time, for the most part, y'all put Kuminga out there and good things are happening. So yeah. Play him.
Yeah. He's a freak athlete. He's just in transition, in and out, goes right in Chet's area and just lays it up over him. Nobody else on the team is doing that. Right? I'm sure Trace can get in there, get a few offensive rebounds, and just dunk it back. Only other guy on the team that can do that. He might be the only guy on the team that can just get an offensive rebound like that and just dunk it back immediately. As a big, at least.
So, I don't know. I really don't know. I still resist when people say this team isn't good. Da, 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 da. Yeah. But
yeah, there's a big gap between the team being bad and the team being championship level. Right? They're not a bad team just because they don't look like a contender right now. Right? Doesn't mean they're a bad team. The Thunder are very good. Like Shea 38 points. I don't know how many contested mid-ranges he hit.
Right. And that's why I laugh too, because I hate when they're like, right now the Warriors are struggling. So people are saying, I told you, but this is not what y'all said. Y'all said they were going to. You know, like, I'm sorry, like, shout out to my boy Chris from Who Spaces, but you're full of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you keep saying, I said, no, this is not what you said. You were talking about no one's scared of the Warriors anymore and all this stuff. I'm like, listen, that game, every game played with OKC has been close.
Right.
Because he's just like, yeah, like if they really shoot their normal percentages, I said, well, they shot their normal percentages and it was still a close game. And I said, and it was a close game when we were missing guys and they had all their guys and it was still a close game. Like every single game has been close. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, that's what I'm just like, the Warriors are not being blown out of these games. They're not getting like run off the court. That's not what's happening in these games. If that was, then I'd be like, yeah, yo, they're not
right
in the same league with anyone else.
Last year, they were getting blown out. Against every good team they played, they were getting blown out, especially on the road. They would only beat decent teams at home because they had that home magic going and people would not miss when they were at home. But these are good teams that they're playing on the road. They just play OKC on the road. Again, Jalen Williams, 12 for 15. You mean to tell me he got 15 open shots?
Right. And I said some of that was the Warriors defense. Some of it was their defense. And on top of it, like that's a game, another one they should have won. So yeah, am I surprised that the young legs beat them out in an overtime game? No. But they had that game won in regulation. Because you were tweeting it, like you were tweeting it, Chris. You were like, oh, Steph just probably did it. And then you go back and you fuck up and you foul, you know, a 3-point, you know, like chat. It's wild, actually, the way that they found ways to lose games this year. And it's been the main guys. So that's what I'm seeing, like silly tweets about like the guys around them and then pointing to the young guys. This is not on the young guys.
No.
The young guys have been keeping them in games.
I mean, they have, at least statistically, the best bench in the league.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what y'all are looking at when y'all say, like, calling up, like, the bench is good.
Right. We think some certain bench players should be playing more and some should be playing less. But for the most part, as a collective, the bench is fine.
Yeah.
The starting unit has been terrible. And it's just been very, very slow getting all of the starters up to the level that they were last year. I mean, they are super far away from that. Like, they're going from one of the best, if not the best starting five in the league last year to the worst.
And I don't know that it's going to improve. Like, I call me crazy because I'm still holding out hope for like Wiggins. And, you know, I know Clay will have good nights, but I don't know if Looney is going to become a better version of himself again.
I mean, I don't foresee it.
Right. So it's just like, you got to find a different answer. He needs to come off your bench when it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think the answer is a trade. Not trading him per se, but trading for someone who can immediately just be in that spot. It might not be a center. You might have to move Dre to center, but I mean, I think that's what's going to happen. I think that immediately fixes all of their issues depending on the player they get. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. So.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen, but you know, like we said, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, they're right now still not even in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
And they got to figure something out. They got who next? The Clippers, the Suns, or the Clippers?
They got the Suns, who will have Beal back. We don't know if KD's playing.
Right.
But these guys love to be healthy when it comes to playing the Warriors, and then they are hurt when they play everybody else.
Yeah, and it's going to be in Phoenix. So.
And that is on Tuesday, I believe.
And then they have the Clippers after that. Both of those games are in those teams' homes. So Warriors right now, 2 games under 500.
Yep. They won't have Gary for either. He should be reevaluated by the end of this week. which means that both of those games will have been played by that point. Clay is sick, so he didn't practice today, but I mean, they play in 2 days, so he's probably going to play.
Right.
But I mean, we keep watching this team get leads and then just blow it. It's another reason why it's like, which team do you think they are? The team that blows the lead or the team that gets the lead? They're obviously both, but one of them, they got to pick a side. I think eventually they're going to be the team that gets the lead more often, but it becomes a question of, is it too late? How much ground do you have to make up in the standings? How much effort do you have to put into making it out of the play-in, or at least getting a favorable play-in spot in that domino effect that we saw last year? They run out of gas in the playoffs. So you got to do something quick. Start winning some games quick.
This is why I think they really need to lean into their youth.
For sure.
Lean into your youth. They are actually good. Last year, we cannot say that. This year, we can say that.
Yeah. I mean, I think last year we probably could have.
I was just about to say, you know what? You know what? I was just about to say, if you would have leaned into the youth at the beginning of the year, by the end of the postseason, they would have been, like, in my opinion,
the correct youth. They leaned into James Wiseman early and it tanked them, but
right,
the other guys.
But like the way Denver's bench came along.
Yeah. And Denver's leaning into their youth now. They have no choice now, but who knows, by the end of the season, they probably have one or two guys from that bench that are on, second or third year that step up and they're going to be good in the playoffs, most likely. So lean into your youth. Moody, Kuminga, Pods, Trace. Play all four of them. They're all four of them are good. That's the funny part. Is like all four of them are good, and we're seeing Kojo play. Why is he playing? He shouldn't play at all. He should be a locker room guy.
Yes, and doing lots of stupid shit when he plays. So why?
And it's also like, okay, he doesn't turn the ball over. He's a feisty defender. He also doesn't make positive plays either.
Right
there. We never see like, dang, Kojo was out there getting still. Like his
obsession with just not turning the ball over is so fucking stupid to me.
Still turn it over. He still had 30 turnovers, bro. Stop playing him. He ain't the one turning it over. So it's no point in even playing him. He ain't stopping the turnovers from happening, bro. So play guys that can actually score, that can actually do something with the ball. Anyway, I mean, yeah, that's all I see out there. Dario and Loon combined for 39 minutes, 0 Trace minutes. Come on, man. You can't chop 10 minutes off of that and give it to Trace.
Dario's been turning the ball over a lot too. Stop trying to make him do too much with the fucking ball. It's annoying me.
Giving him the ball too much. He should be in the belly roll, where Belly only touched it when he was open for 3, and he just made a decision: am I shooting it or am I pump fake and drive and kick to somebody else? That's it. He wasn't giving Belly post ups and all that other shit. Like, come on, man, giving him the ball too much. So.
Well, listen. There have been some silly conversations on the timeline today. The NBA tourney occurred. The Lakers won. Is anyone surprised? No. And, there's been this big debate, right? About, first of all, I was just getting annoyed with people trying to be like, if you don't, you don't like basketball, if you're not into the tournament, like, stop with all these fucking rules. I don't got like the fucking tournament. And you know what? I don't even dislike the tournament, but I hate when people try to tell people they're not a basketball fan if they don't like something. Like, bro, am I not a rap fan because I don't like this new shit? Like, I don't like the new shit. Still like rap. There are people who still do not fuck with the 3-point line.
That's crazy. That's crazy. No, I get what you're saying. I get the point you're making, though. Yeah.
It's like, you like what you fucking like.
Yeah.
Y'all don't get to fucking tell me what to like. And again, I don't actually even dislike the tourney. I just don't give a fuck about it. Like, it does not move me or persuade me in any capacity. Like, 0. And so people are like, well, the players like it. Yeah, the players are getting $500,000. If I was getting $500,000, I might like it more too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I bet you if you gave them $500,000 each for All-Star, they'd like All-Star a lot more too. And I said the bigger issue is, why do they need something to get the players excited to play? That's your bigger issue, not whether or not the players liked it. That you're having to do this for them to get up for regular season games. And by the way, I am someone who thinks that the regular season should be decreased because science tells us that. So that's why I agree with it. But, you know, I was having this debate with someone today. I said, all of this regular season doesn't matter shit. LeBron is the one who started that shit. He started it and people followed because it was like, he did.
Just get LeBron to the playoffs. He's going to get you to the finals. Yeah.
He started it. Just like the whole player movement and now everyone hopping around. Once he made it okay and acceptable to do, then the others started to do it. You know? And so, you know, because someone tried to say the Warriors were like...
In their prime, at least. Guys were still forming these old super teams. And then LeBron and D-Wade and all them made the in your prime super teams switching to the one team. But continue.
Yeah, so I just, you know, all of this, you know, I just sort of laugh at the irony of why we're even in this place where players don't care, you know, as much about regular season. Same reason they don't do the dunk contest. He was too cool to do the fucking dunk contest. MJ did the contest. The other stars did it. Kobe. And then I won't do it. And now everybody's too cool to do the fucking dunk contest. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to me, like it's sort of wild. And I don't want to be one of these people, but it's just like, yo, NBA players already get paid a lot of money. And like the fact that y'all got to then incentivize them even more to play in the regular season is sort of wild. And you need to think about that, you know, about why it is that you have to do that. But that's what they're doing. So I'm sorry. I'm not like moved over no damn tournament. That didn't even really feel like a tournament to me. Yes, y'all did courts and all this other stuff, but it didn't move me. And all those games, at the end of the day, I mean, look, I don't know like when I go to look them up what it's going to say, but they just count as regular season games. Even though you designated them as tournament games, they are regular season games. And then the one at the end where they actually win doesn't count. The stats don't count. So 80s, 40 and 10 game goes down where in the record books?
Nowhere. It's lost in the void.
Same shit with the play-in. I mean, I get the
play-in stats count either. Yeah,
no, they're just there. They're just there. So you also have in his interview, right? 80 after they went saying, yeah, we know it's not the real thing. You have the Lakers ahead of it coming out saying they're not going to hang the banner if they win. The stats don't count for the game. And then y'all are so surprised that some people are not, like, it doesn't mean anything to them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you've also had, like I said, for one of the games, Steph, they did not play him for one of those matchups that were in season tournament. The other day, Kristaps Porzingis, the Celtics didn't play him. How much do we want to bet if it was the playoffs or the finals that those guys will be playing? The teams are not even treating it with the same magnitude. So that's what I pay attention to. So everyone's just like, the players care. Yes, because they're getting money. And you would think that those people would be rich enough, but they're greedy, clearly. Not all of them. Some of them I get it, like those, but like LeBron being all like, yeah, I'm going to get charges for five. Like, bro, you're a billionaire. Like, what? You know? So
I think when it comes to Bron, I don't think it's about the money. It's more so about it's Vegas and he wants to own that team in Vegas. So he wants to be like, you know, just kind of like NBA in Vegas, that type of thing. But yeah.
I don't even care what it's about. My simple point is just that, like,
it ain't about the hoops alone.
Right. And so it's like, so it's like, fine, great. And you know what? It did give them a little bit more of a ratings boost than they would have. And the players were excited and we got some good games. So great. If that's for you, what deems it a success, then fine. But I'm not like, now we're talking about player legacies because of like the NBA Cup. And this literally has nothing to do with whether it's the Lakers. I wouldn't give a damn if it was the Warriors either. I wouldn't care. It just doesn't move me personally. So anyway, the IST occurs, right? And so there's that chatter. Then Bruce Brown is in his D'Lo's in his feelings because Bruce Brown is talking, and I'm just like, son, you don't get to litigate or arbitrate. Who gets to talk? You're not the arbiter of that. Like, he can talk if he wants to talk.
Yeah. He's on payback time because Bruce Brown clowned him while they were sweeping them in the playoffs and then clowned him afterwards. So he was a little salty and he's trying to get his get back, which is fine. But, bro, you talking about, oh, you don't got Jokic now. Bro, you play with LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Exactly. That's what I told you.
Like, come on, bro. He's so corny. Like, I try to burn his Warriors tenure out of my mind. He's just a cornball. But yeah, that's all I got to say about D'Lo.
Yeah. And then the last thing I want to say just before we close, because as always, when the Warriors lose, and just in general, because the Warriors and people get clicks because they talk about the Warriors, we always got to hear stupid things being said. So apparently now the new thing is that Klay's game is not developed, but Desmond Bane's did. And therefore, like, I don't know what it's supposed to mean. And like people trying to debate me bringing up Desmond Bane's stats in the first 3 years and Klay's, I'm like, bro, the production looks pretty close. Like, I'm not comparing Klay. Like, I don't need to. I know how Klay turns out. We have it. We don't know how Bane turns out. I'm not saying that Desmond Bane right now is not a good player. I'm saying he does not belong in the same sentence with Klay because he has not done shit that Klay has had. Wow. Right. Look at his teammates. I don't give a fuck. First of all, his teammates are Ja Morant and JJJ, the defensive player of the year and an all-star last year, and Ja Morant. So, like, I don't care. Well, first of all, I know because then I was told, oh, they're not as good. As I don't care because it doesn't matter to me who he played with and all of that shit. A lot of the stuff Klay has are individual things. All-star, individual award. All NBA, individual award. All defense team, individual award. When he led them in the Rocket series without Steph, that was him being the leader of the team. Okay? So until Desmond Bane is doing any of those things, when he has a game 6 in the postseason, he's been abysmal at times in the postseason. And I'm not saying that Klay has been perfect because we know Klay has had bad postseasons, but Klay has also literally helped his team win.
Yeah. Led his team to wins. Saved him a few times. Bane has never done anything close to the accomplishments that Klay has had.
No. So we're not going to start mentioning him in the same sentence.
I mean, Gilbert picks and chooses when he knows basketball. It's a lot of things that he's impartial to players with an ISO bag and, all that type of stuff. So players like Klay,
and I get that. I don't even care about him. It's the Warriors fans talking about, yeah, this is kind of true. What? Do y'all remember Klay ups?
They don't. That's the problem. They don't.
New fans.
These are children that we're talking to. These are kids.
Like, Klay's game has definitely developed both on the offensive and defensive end. Both.
Yeah. To just pencil him in to just spot shooter as if he's Korver or Redick is crazy. There's a reason why they've never reached a volume of shots that Klay has. He's way more developed than just a spot shooter. That's just an idiotic take. Idiotic take. I don't even have it. I mean, just type in Klay 2016. At any point, look at any game. Look at any series from pre-KD. Even with KD, whatever. Look up any of those series, 2019 finals, anything. You'll see Klay dribbling. Despite people say, I think people are thinking of Klay because Klay now isn't what he was then. So people had this burn into their mind that Klay is just spot up guy. He's slow, all of this stuff. It's jarring. Like it looks so different when you look back at how he looked back then.
Right.
7 years ago. Right. So much quicker, faster, could dribble, could do up and unders and dunk. He was dunking so much more. Like, come on, it was almost a completely different player. Right. And that's why so many people are like sad at how he looks now. Not saying that he's completely washed, but like, it's just, he had his prime robbed of him because of the injuries. And he looked way different before the injuries.
For sure.
Better than fucking Desmond Bain. Come on, man. Like, he was top 2 of his position, bar none.
Right.
It was okay. Harden's the number 1 shooting guard. And then after that, it was Klay for years. Like, so until Bain is top 2 of his position, don't compare him to Klay Thompson in his prime.
Rude.
Disrespectful.
Rude. That's what I said. It's disrespectful. And in general, y'all stop trying to put people in the same caliber of shooters as the Splash Bros, because everybody can do shit in the regular season. Everybody can do shit in the regular season. But when shit gets tight in a game that matters, when they do that, then let me know. 3-point contest champions, all that shit. All the things that define you as a marksman. They ain't done none of that.
Right. Right. And I can't speak for you, but I like Bane's game. But come on, let's not be disrespectful, man.
Well, I don't like any of those players on the Grizzlies.
He's the only player I like on the Grizzlies. But other than that, you can't compare him to Klay, though.
Anyway. All right, party people. So I know this is not really a preview of the next game, but what's happening? I mean, so far they've been winning every other game. So
yeah.
We've been here before. We've done that.
Mm-hmm. And they kind of owe the Suns. I mean, the Suns cooked them the last time they played them, and they were in a close game, first game of the season against the Suns. So I'm sure Steph is pissed. Dre's pissed, I'm sure. So hopefully they're going to come out super focused. Hopefully they just don't blow the lead, because I know at some point they're going to get a lead. Just don't blow the lead.
Oh, gosh. It'll be fun. All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in with us. Your guess is as good as ours as to what's going to happen next. But we appreciate y'all. This is Golden Spaces, an Odyssey original podcast. Make sure that you are following us on Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter. So following us on X and Instagram at Golden Spaces Pod. Subscribe. We're on all podcast platforms, and also subscribe on YouTube. We're under 95.7 The Games channel. So subscribe to them, and you'll be alerted anytime we upload a new show. Leave us a 5-star rating. Leave us a positive review. Write us one. We appreciate it. Yeah, we're getting closer to the holidays. Hopefully the Warriors will start to give us some holiday magic. But until then, take care, guys. We appreciate y'all.